Hi, everybody. Welcome to Social Studies. Today we're going to be talking about a serious thing. It is life conditions for slaves. Remember, the slaves were brought from Africa to North America to work for the white people. Okay, let's look at some details, okay? So the southern colonies had plantations. Well, what is a plantation? Plantations are huge estates, like huge properties, huge pieces of land that included big farms, so for planting cash crops. Remember, we talked about cash crops last time. Cash crops are crops that were planted to sell and make money, like rice, cotton. You know how we wear clothes that are made of cotton? And tobacco. Tobacco is what's in cigarettes, what people smoke. Plantation owners needed cheap workers to work in their fields. So that's how the idea of slaves came along. So look at, there's a bunch of slaves working in a big farm. Slaves were brought on ships from Africa. Slaves were kidnapped from their homeland in Africa and brought on ships to North America. Kidnapped means stolen, not like, hey, you want to come to North America? No, I'm taking you away, right? So they took them. The ships were very crowded and the slaves got very little food. Look at this. That's completely inhumane. Crazy, crazy. That's a map of how they lined up the slaves. Many slaves died on the way to North America. Well, is it a surprise? They couldn't even move. They couldn't get up. They couldn't do anything. They were just stuck on this ship. Okay? And they were chained. They had chains all around them. Their arms were tied. Their hands were tied. Their feet were tied. Look at this other picture. See? They had things around their neck. And they're starving. They didn't give them enough food. Slaves were sold to colonists. Now remember, the colonists are the people who came from Britain to North America. The slaves were always in chains. They could not go anywhere on their own. The slaves were sold to colonists. Many of those colonists were plantation owners. So look at them. Here they are in chains. They only take the chains off for them to work, right? Okay, life conditions for slaves. Slaves had no freedoms at all. They couldn't go anywhere. They had to be exactly where their owners said. They did not get any money for their work. And they worked from sunrise to sunset. So like from when the sun rises till the sun goes away, from morning till night. They were beaten by their masters if they did not obey. So if she said, I'm too tired to work in the field, whack, right? It was not good. It's not a good part of our history. It's terrible. But look at this guy's back. Look at this. Look how many times he's been whipped. Terrible stuff, right? In the meantime, see, they were working in all those fields, right? They were planting and making lots of crops. So the people who owned the plantations became very rich. Look at the mansion. That's not a home, that's like a mansion. So life for plantation owners was very different from life for slaves. Look at the home of the slaves. It's a piece of garbage. Look at this. Ridiculous, right? Plantations were like little independent cities. So what does that mean? You know how a city has its own like grocery store or whatever? A plantation grows its own food, had its own church, you could like stay your whole life on the plantation and wouldn't need anything else. A plantation had a huge farm, its own church, blacksmith, that's like the person that works with iron, and other services. Plantation owners Plantation owners became very rich because of all the work that the slaves did for free. It's kind of messed up, right? They worked from morning till night, and this is where they lived, and they gave them little food and very little clothes. But look at the people who owned the farm. Look at where they lived. One more comparison. Look at a plantation mansion and then look at the slave shack. Look, this is the mansion. This is where they lived. It looks like it's going to fall down any minute, doesn't it? So there were things in our history that were not so good, like slavery obviously is not a good thing, but it happened and we have to study it to learn about it. Okay, this is it for our lesson. I know it's very heavy stuff, but now we have to talk about our assignment. Okay, before we talk about our assignment, I'm always saying, hey, if you don't understand, go to the translation documents in Schoology. I want to show you what I'm talking about. This is the assignment. You guys all know how to look at the assignment. If you don't know what the assignment is saying, this is the translation. If you don't understand what I'm saying in the video, you click on translation of lesson. This is it in Arabic, what I talked about, Bangla, right? Vietnamese, Chinese simplified, and Albanian. So the lesson is translated for you in your own languages, okay? Just click in Schoology because this was a lot of new words, right? Okay, now let's look at the assignment. Okay, so here is our assignment. Social Studies assignment, Life Conditions for Slaves. Decide if the following statements are true or false. People from Africa wanted to come to North America to become slaves. True or false? Plantation owners became very rich because of all the work that slaves did. True or false? In a plantation, workers planted cash crops such as rice, tobacco, and cotton. True or false? Slaves were given good food and nice homes. True or false? Now, here's where I want you to write and think. Answer the following question. What would what would you do if you were a colonist? What would you do if you had a plantation and needed many workers to plant your cash crops? Would you buy slaves from Africa? And you probably are all going to go, no, no, I'm not going to get slaves. Okay, so what would you do? If not, then write what you would do. Okay, that's it for our assignment. That's it for this week's lessons. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope I see you at tomorrow's conference on Schoology. Okay, see you next time.